or 7-1-1, 7-1-1.
Yeah.
And I believe, as you see Brian's hand right now, so Ken's got a lot of cards, and Brian has a few cards.
Yeah, Brian's missing a couple cards. He just hasn't drawn. You know, some people go stack of 4, stack of 3 when they deal out a hand.
Yeah.
So he's halfway through dealing out his hand, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
Sort of. He's on a mulligan of 4. And Overgrown Tomb, Thragtusk, Dreadborn. I think his last card is Cavern of Souls. So this is going to be a bit of an uphill climb.
Lands on a, okay, to be fair, on a mull to 4, like, you want to keep a 4-lander almost.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
So as far as mulls to 4 go, you know, this is a pretty good one.
Yeah, and I mean, the like an actual relevant thing here, as he does draw a Garruk Primal Hunter for the turn, is that if he draws like running lands into Sire of Insanity, which he has 2 copies of, and he names Demon with this
Then
Cavern of
everybody's
Souls,
on a mulligan.
Yeah, then everyone's on a mulligan, and he can actually steal the game.
Right.
But he opts to name Vampire here with that Cavern of Souls.
Okay, so when as the Jund player, so he has an Olivia in his hand, right?
At this point, he has a Dreadbore, a Garruk, a Thragtusk, and he's going to draw a Bonfire for Dose.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose miracling a shock into his opponent's face is about all you can do with that Bonfire.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty clear your opponent's already on control.
Yeah, I mean, in this matchup too, like, as you're going to see, I think twice here from Ken, like this matchup, Bonfire is like so irrelevant.
Yeah, it's.
Ken misses land drop.
Ken plays 1 Etherling, 2 Snapcasters. That's it. So maybe if he has 2 Snapcasters in play, you can 2-for-1 them. Ken has missed a land drop.
He does not have a 4th land.
He does have an Azorius Charm. I mean, at this point, he just wants to start digging.
Yeah, I mean, your opponent mode to 4, like, you're safe to cycle on your own turn. He draws a Steam Vents. Okay, so he's safe.
So he has War Leader's Helix, Sphinx's Revelation. Yeah.
Brian draws a card, draws a Farseek right off the top.
So what he has to hope for here is that Brian has a Garruk Primal Hunter in his hand, and I imagine he hopes to draw a land and just run that thing out. And if it sticks, you know, he's just gonna fist pump really hard.
Yes, that is exactly what he'll be doing.
So counter spells in Ken's deck. He has 2 Dissipate, 1 Essence Scatter, 1 Syncopate. That's actually it. So it's not unreasonable to think that this could resolve.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Ken looks like he kept like a really good hand. I mean, multiple copies of Think Twice, Azorius Charm. He's got a bunch of removal in his hand, but he's not able to hit the land drops. And now, as you see an Azorius Charm here, you know, he looks like he's going to cycle this on main phase again to try to hit his 5th land drop, which again I think is something that he should do. So he's going to cycle.
I mean, as long as your control deck, if you're a control deck, as long as you hit your land drops, you should be just fine.
And he does draw a Glacial Fortress, so he does draw his 5th land.
I think he has all removal sweepers and revelations. I think Brian actually has the green light to go with this Garruk.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to cast it if he draws the 5th land, as he draws a Mizium Mortars for the turn.
That's about the same as a land, right?
The problem is, like, the Garruk, it'll get to turn out a beast, and then War Leadership will actually take care of it. Well, so that's kind of like the stinky part. And Ken did just draw a Syncopate.
So now it's a little rough. Pillar to the dome.
One thing I'm surprised about is Ken didn't flashback Think Twice that turn.
He has a Think Twice.
He has 2 in his graveyard. Like, he didn't flashback. Here's a
Hunt Master.
A Hunt Master, which is gonna get syncopated. But he didn't flashback Think Twice at the end of Brian's turn, last turn, to try to hit a land, which he would have this turn with the Sulfur Falls. So he wouldn't have had to discard.
Right. So now we're in Revelation mode, where he's gonna probably Revelate for 3 here, or as we see, answer the Garruk.
Yeah. Depending on if Brian wants to lead out with Garruk or if he wants to lead out with Thragtusk, and he's going to lead out with Thragtusk, which I actually kind of like.
Garruk's the more important card. If Garruk's on the Nifty Sticks, will win the game.
Yeah.
And Ken cannot actually syncopate it, so he's going to have to 2-for-1 himself to deal with that, which this is with the Thragtusk on the stack, I assume.
So Think Twice, Thragtusk is
just fine.
I mean, he's got a hand full of removal spells.
If you're Brian and you resolve the Garruk, are you drawing 3? Are you -3ing it immediately, or are you plussing it?
I mean, depending on how my opponent reacts, I think is like a big deal here. He's going to play a Sulfur Falls, but like, if I have the opportunity, like, I would like to -3 to try to draw 5 and get myself back in the game, but it opens yourself up to some huge problems.
To like double kill spell.
Yeah.
And Searing Spear into Helix would make that pretty foolish of a play.
Yeah. But at this
second Garruk.
Yeah, a second Garruk. I mean, that definitely changes things. And I again, like, I think that first of all, I think I would have attacked first before anything.
Right, because then you get your 5 damage. Because right now, if you try to draw, he's going to kill spell it.
Yes.
So now that way you'd get your full damage off the draw, or full damage off the Thragtusk before it were to die. This is a pretty good mold for Brian. I'm still, pretty excited about that. All right, and it looks like he's going to get to draw 3 off this.
And you're going to see a War Leadership response.
2,
wow.
3, and he's giving him all 5.
He's giving him all 5, and I think he's just going to try to resolve a Sphinx's Revelation. I am
huge.
very surprised by
There's
that.
Sire and Brian, you can't, now Brian's off the mulligan.
Yeah.
completely. This is a fair game now. I mean, granted, Ken is at 13 and has already reached the revelation point in the game. That's something which he has to be pretty happy about. But especially with cards like Sire of Insanity and Kennel's main deck, Ken is not safe anymore.
Yep. So now Revelation for 4 plus a draw step. So 5 new cards here for Ken.
Yeah, a lot more burn, more lands, more Supreme Verdicts. The War Leader's Helixes will stop the Sire play pretty well.
Yeah, that will definitely clear that up, and maybe that's the reason that he decided not to cash in the Helix. Yeah. Now we're going to see Supreme Verdict take care of the Thragtusk.
Sure, he also has a turn burn in his hand. I think he's playing the Supreme Verdict just because he wants to minimize how many cards he's going to discard.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to discard Think Twice and a Steam Vents and just pass the turn back.
Yep.
So Kennel's going to untap. He's going to draw, but as you said, yeah. I
can't believe that he got 5 cards off.
Me too. And he's undone the mulligan, as you said.
Yeah. Ken has to win again.
All right. Well, I think this turn starts with attack.
I mean, isn't that when your opponent has so few cards? Isn't the last thing you want to do is let him plus 5 for 1?
Yeah. I mean, 3 is less than 5. I mean, yeah, he does have to use a War Leader Helix to do it, but I would rather prevent my opponent from drawing that many cards.
Exactly. So now he has plenty of evidence. He has another Garruk, and hey, if the first one worked, why not do another one?
Yeah. This time, I think Elevator goes up.
Yep, and that will then bait out a War Leader's Helix.
Mm-hmm.
Ken will have, a second Verdict to clean up, and I think he's still ahead right here, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that Ken is still ahead right now, but this is much more of a game than I think anyone expected it to be, including Ken.
Right. All right, so Garruk ticks up to make the Beast. Remember in Ken's hand, we have a pair of War Leader's Helixes. I think we still have a pair of Supreme Verdicts. He's going to end step. Yep, Helix, knocking the Garruk, putting himself back up to 18.
That card's going to be good.
What, the War Leader's Helix?
Yeah. I think that the life of that card over standard, it's starting.
That card's going to get better.
Yeah, it's starting to find its way. It's not a card that you can just play 4 of like Lightning Helix, but I think that card's going to be good.
Right. No, I completely agree.
And so now here's the Supreme Verdict. That's going to clear up the Beast tokens. Brian's going to untap. He's going to draw. He finds a Stomping Ground.
Well, yeah, Brian's still just stocked full of threats at this point. He hasn't,
If you're Brian, do you slam Sire here and hope?
That seems so. That you have to think that can't work, can it? I think I'd wanna. I mean, your worry is that how we said with these control decks, it's it's really the second revelation or the third revelation that wins the game.
Mm-hmm.
The first one gets you back in the game, the second one gets you ahead, and then the third one gets the concession.
Yeah.
So, and you have to think that there's another one in his hand. So you have to win pretty fast. I think I might run out Sire. Yeah, I would slam it.
He goes with Hunt Match to the Fells, does resolve, gain 2 life, put a Wolf token into play. Ken draws his card for the turn, and Ken was representing turn burn, so he would have been able to actually fuse turn burn. And now here's Pillar Flame that's going to take care of the Hunt Master.
Exactly.
So he doesn't have a lot of counter magic in his deck, and dealing with Sire is pretty difficult, but he does have turn burn at the ready to make it less difficult.
Right now it looks like he has an end step revelation for 6.
Yeah.
Queued up. Like you said, that's the second revelation that gets you ahead. And then the third one is the one that wins the game.
And he already has the third one in his hand.
Right.
So Kennel plays a Rootbound Crag, and now his hand is pretty removal heavy.
I mean, Jund is a lot of removal spells. That's why at least game 1 is a pretty good matchup for the control deck.
Mm-hmm. Wolf token's going to come across here, and with all this removal, a Mizium Mortars, a Putrefy, a Dreadbore, I don't think Kennel has much of a choice but to actually just cast Siren Sandy. I mean, it's not going to get any better.
Right. All right, he's going to go for it, and you can almost tell when you're in this situation from your opponent's body language, oh, this isn't going to work, is it?
Yeah. And so Turn Burn's going to actually just take care of this. The Fuse of Turn and Burn is going to clear this up here. It's going to make it a 0-1 and then deal 2 damage to it. So Siren Sanity, as powerful as you are, it's time to go, my friend. As Ken is going to untap, he's going to draw a card. He draws a Glacial Fortress, another land for his second revelation, and he does just pass the turn back.
If Brian finds his second Sire, Ken is somewhat running low on answers to Sire of Insanity. He's used both his Helixes. He could still double Searing Spirit or turn burn it, but otherwise it has to be a counter spell.
Sure.
Which I suppose that, to be fair, is about 5 answers in total, which is probably enough.
And he does draw his other copy of War Leader's Helix. So
he think twice at the end step there?
Yeah.
That seems interesting. Instead of revelating, he's just grinding even slower.
Zai's going to Revelate as well. So this Revelate's going to be for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And maybe the reason he's doing this with Ice is just because he doesn't want to have to discard off of a big Revelation. But, I mean, the argument can be made, like, if you're discarding off a giant Revelation...
I think you're always supposed to just class... I don't know. I mean, discarding feels bad, but I feel like you're supposed to just draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think maybe he has 8 cards in his hand right now. He's going to pull War Leader's Helix towards the
Like, it's
front.
okay to discard extra lands.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. It's something you're allowed.
He's going to discard 2 copies of Sacred Foundry and pass the turn back. Also, I mean, the other thing, too, is, like, he might get himself in, like, a little bit of trouble where he needs to think twice to look for an answer, and that option's gone now.
Right.
As the Wolf Token's going to come across for 2 more points of damage, putting Yeoh down to 17. But I mean, you look at Kennel's hand, and if you're Yeoh, you're pretty sure that, like, okay, his hand is just chock full of removal. So, like, I'm pretty safe. Like, if I find the Aetherling, this game's probably over.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. Yeah, the Aetherling starts the 8 damage a turn clock. Yeah. Also, if he finds an Assemble or a Tamiyo, it's probably also over.
Mm-hmm. And so now here's a Revelation for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yet again. So not going for the maximum amount. Now Searing Spear going to take care of the Wolf Token.
All right. Yeah. So despite the recovery from the Mull to 4 from Brian, it looks like Ken is pulling away once again.
Yeah, and of course the issue there is, like, he does draw. Kennel did get to draw 5 cards, but some of those cards were basically blanks because they're removal spells. Which, you look at Yeoh's deck list, removal does actual nothing against him. He doesn't have Restoration Angel, doesn't have Augur Bolas, none of those cards. He has 1 Aetherling and 2 Snapcaster Mages. Card that is either impossible to kill with removal, or a card that's just going to get infinite value.
So interestingly, there really are only 2 ways to win the game in the main deck for Ken, right? It's the Aetherling and the Assemble the Legion, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which, I mean, as a control player, you like it when you can commit as few slots as possible to actually winning the game.
Yeah. Now here's a Kessig Wolf run. Kennel just passes the turn back, and now Kennel's just playing off the top of his deck, not even looking at the cards in his hand or even trying to bluff anything, as he just has a million removal spells. As
right.
Yeoh also has a bunch of removal spells, discards a Hallowed Fountain, just passes the turn back.
Right. So Ken should be able. Well, as long as everything goes according to plan, Ken should be able to. To clean up on this game. Brian has very few cards that actually. I'm trying to think of what he's trying to draw to here. You know, he can bonfire for a zillion if he draws a bonfire. You know, 2 bonfires will make things lethal. Outside of that, he doesn't have something like Lingering Souls or something that's hard to answer. I don't know if there's another card that I really. Yeah, why don't I check this list? What is it? You know, maybe running Thrag Tusks is pretty good because if that can commit more resources than he actually can run Ken out of kill spells, that'd work.
Yeah, I suppose that's an option. Again, I think that running bonfires is potentially that's a weird out, as we're going to see Jace Memory Adept.
Right.
Excuse me, we're going to see Jace Architect of Thought. There's so many Jaces now.
Yeah, this is the Ravnica Jace.
Yeah. And so now here is 3 cards. So I think the split here is going to be Revelation versus the Supreme Verdict, and versus the field is a good way to look at that.
And you'll take the Revelation, though. I mean, at this point, does it even really matter what he takes?
Yeah, I mean, take Revelation, you put Verdict and a Hallowed Fountain down to the bottom. And I don't know if he has a land to play. It doesn't look like he does. He's just going to pass the turn back.
No, I don't think he does. So he's just waiting to draw either the Assemble or the Aetherling.
Yeah, and you can see Kennel's a little bit frustrated here. So he's just drawing lands off the top of his deck. He tried to make a game of it, but at the end of the day, I mean, he did. It's almost funny now. Like, it doesn't seem like he mulliganed to 4. Like, we kind of forget about that, right? As we're deep into this game. But
and where we really see that is the fact that Ken's never dropped much below 13. That was the effect that ended up happening. It's interesting. The blue-white, the base of the control deck, to a certain point, there's really, you know, after they have 7 lands in play, they don't really care if their opponent's drawing cards. Yeah. You know, there's no way his opponent's going to out-resource him.
So War Leader's Helix, deals 4 damage to Kennel on Kennel's end step. Plays a Sacred Foundry. I think we're going to see Jace probably. I mean, it can go up or down. I think that minusing is like perfectly acceptable here because you just want to find a way to get this game over with.
Yeah.
And so here's a Tamiyo,
and Essence Scatter, and
Desolate Lighthouse.
Yep, he'll take the Tamiyo.
And Tamiyo is a way to actually kind of get things over with now because now that can start pushing up.
If you can emblem it, then you know, and you have one burn spell left in your deck, then you're golden.
Yep.
He's going to tap down Cassie Wolfrun, which is, in my opinion, the correct land to be tapping.
So here's a Liliana of the Veil as the draw step here for Kennel.
It's a pretty good draw.
I mean, I've seen worse draw steps, that's for sure. Like his past 5.
It's about as good as anything else he has.
Yeah.
To be fair, Ken has to think that there are probably Dreadbores in Kennel's deck, so you know this Tamiyo is not actually a good enough win con.
Yeah. Well, Dissipate is going to take care of the Liliana.
And that should give Kennel a window to Dreadbore the Tamiyo.
But we see Ken's deck. He does have a. We see his hand. He does have a Snapcaster Mage in his hand
so
at the ready.
Snap Dissipate.
Yep.
Ken, I mean, he keeps counting his deck to make sure he doesn't mill. To me, that's not a real concern. As long as the bottom card is not assemble, if the bottom card is Etherling and the next to bottom card is assembled, then he has a problem.
Yeah.
And it might be to play around that safely. He's supposed to try to make a Tamiyo emblem, just in case.
And the other thing, too, is that actually the bottom 2 cards actually can't be those cards, because I was thinking
he's put other things on the bottom.
Yeah, because
right.
of Jace.
Yeah, there's at least 4 cards on the bottom.
Yep.
So it would be the 5th and 6th to the bottom, which
Yep.
that's actually enough for Etherling to win the game.
Yep.
So there's no way that happens.
And now there's an Assemble Legion off the top here for Ken that can actually let him win the game slowly but surely. So
Win con number 1 activated. And John, without an answer to the enchantment in its deck.
Yeah, taking a look at the removal suite here, you know, Jund is known for playing 1 of and 2 of a bunch of different cards, but one thing it doesn't have an answer to is as a result of Assemble the Legion. It does kill you slowly but surely, but he can't actually deal with it. And so now here comes Snapcaster Mage, and you see Kennel taking a look at his Abrupt Decay and Putrefy and all this removal.
Should kill it.
Yeah, might as well.
It won't be worth defending on Ken's side. Yeah, sure, it's dead. The hits from the Snapcaster actually, if it gets a 3rd hit in, does decrease the clock by a turn.
Yeah.
Or actually, well, one hit actually gets a turn, and then the 2nd hit gets another, and then the 3rd hit gets another turn.
So here's a Ground Seal. That's going to draw into a Bonfire of the Damned.
Not miracled.
Yeah, which is pretty ironic.
Well, the funny part is that the Bonfire is going to take care of, can buy some turns from Assemble the Legion.
Yeah. Isn't it ironic?
Yeah, it's like, oh, the one, people always say, you know, should you play lots of free cyclers in the Miracles deck? And he's like, no, because if you play, you know, it messes up your Miracles. And you're like, yeah, that's not a thing, but here it was.
Again, we kind of forget, too, that Ken, you know, we see the Detention Sphere, we see the Mizzium Mortars, but he also just has the 4 Sphinx's Revelation just in his hand that he hasn't cast yet.
Right.
So if he feels the need to actually pull the trigger on that,
try to find Etherling.
Yeah, and he needs to close the door quickly for some reason, he can do that.
Yeah, you would Revelation, I believe, for everything but the bottom 4 cards of your deck. And that would probably be fine.
Draw step of Searing Spear.
All right, that works. That's a relevant card. Remember, he does want to hold on to a burn spell in his hand so that if Tamiyo emblems, he can immediately win the game.
Yeah.
He's already used both his Helixes and both his Pillars, and his only other burn spells are 2 Searing Spears.
Yep. So he is going to want to hold on to that as he's taking a look at his library yet again. Bonfire of the Damned off the top for a whole bunch.
I mean, you can't play around I-tap at all. It's not like you can play around Syncopate.
Yeah, you're in no situation to play around anything at this point.
No, if you're just like, come on, Bonfire you, boom. Is this enough? Probably not. So he's being very modest in his bonfiring.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, again, there's nothing he can actually play around in this situation. It's just like, just light him up for all of it.
And this is Miracle, correct? It's not the one from his hand?
Yeah.
Okay, he's bonfiring to redirect at Tamiyo. That's why he's only doing a smaller number. That makes sense. Go. Yep, now 2 soldiers. Legion continues to assemble.
Well, here's a second Legion token. Ken going to draw a card. It's a Dissipate.
In case you were wondering whether or not Ken had his outs locked up, that goes another step in making sure it happens.
And so here come the soldier tokens coming across, giving the beatdowns, and pass the turn back. Slowly but surely, Yeoh is going to win this game, it looks like. And now a second Kessig Wolfrun there for Kennel.
All right. 18, soon to drop to 13. And then on the next swing, if everything goes according to Ken's plan, the next swing should drop him down to 3 and then 1 from the searing, 0 from the 2 spears in his hand.
And again, Ken counting the cards in his deck.
Yeah, he seems pretty worried about milling himself right now. Which
yeah.
That to me seems I don't know. I guess I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Wait, why is there...
Yeah, there
That's
need to be...
That's not how that works.
Yeah, there need to be
that
2
makes
more.
a lot more.
That's why that card's insane.
It's because it starts making a lot of soldiers.
Yeah. The Legion doesn't stop assembling. So in for 5 now, going to push Kennel down to 13. Kennel draws a card. It's a Sire of Insanity.
I don't think any cards... I don't know what cards matter. I don't know what he's drawing to right now.
Yeah, and this is actually like a real concern, right? Like, we're playing for top 8 here. These players already have a draw.
They can't draw again. If I'm Brian, I'm conceding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down a game against a deck that takes a long time to beat. And time is of like very important relevance. Again, because he already has a draw on the weekend. So as a result, like, it's okay to concede. I don't think there are a series of draws here that's going to get the job done, especially when you know that Ken has a revelation in his hand.
Well, you don't want to concede too early because there's always the possibility that your opponent misplays. That said, the Assembled Legion is on the table. Like, the only misplay is if Ken just starts drawing cards and missing his Assembled triggers and forgetting to attack every turn.
Yeah.
Like, I give him enough credit to not, like, he's not going to forget all of those in succession every turn.
Yeah.
You know?
The blunder that it would take for Ken to lose this, like, from this position would be monumental.
Right. So right now it's like Brian's wasting his own comeback time.
Yeah. And now a Dissipate's going to counter like this Mizium Mortars that was going to be overloaded.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, like, if I'm a true control player there, I just let it resolve.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like, yeah, okay, Mizium Mortars, that's fine. Make 4 soldiers for you. Like, yep, you maybe bought yourself a turn.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you.
Not that it matters, because it's not like because it doesn't matter, because it's not like there's any spell that that actually matters anymore.
Yes.
So you can counter them all, you can not counter them all, you know, whatever.
And now he's going to play Sire of Insanity. So he uses all of his mana for the turn.
Yeah, and that's why you would want to hold back the counterspell. Ken, of course, has the answer.
Yeah, Ken is just staring at a turn burn.
Yeah. And not that, okay, even if the Sire does resolve, like, all right, that's fine. What happens to, you know, assemble, make 4 soldiers. Like,
yeah.
It's not like the Sire's even good enough.
Yeah, the Sire isn't going to beat the Assembled Legion that is ticking up, and now here's an Aetherling.
Sure. We cast it, and he has a fair amount of blue up. And by a fair amount, I mean all of it.
All of the blue mana.
Yeah. Okay,
No.
8.
Kennel draws a card, and now he's going to concede. And I'm really interested to see how the rest of this match plays out, because, I mean, it's certainly, if I'm Brian in that situation, I'm conceding about 4 or 5 minutes ago. Potentially more, because that's how beat I know I am. Like, when I know that Ken found that revelation, I'm just picking it up. Like, I can't come back. It's just not going to happen. And he's choosing not to cast Revelation. It's like, okay, I have to be beat in this situation. So if things do come down to time here, or, you know, Brian's in a winning position at like maybe the end of game 3, this is really going to come back to bite him here. But we'll take a look at the sideboards, and we'll take a look at Kennel's sideboard of 2 Pillar of Flame, 2 Tragic Slip, a Ground Seal, a Mizium Mortars, a Rakdos Return, 2 Lilianas, 3 Vampire Nighthawks, a Vraska, and 2 copies of Deadbridge Chant. This match is going to go long.
Right.
I mean, Jund is the aggressive deck, but it's more of like an aggro control deck here versus blue-white-red control. It can't change what it's doing. It's always going to be the control deck. So I think that we're going to see the Rakdos Return come in. We're going to see the 2 copies of Liliana come in. We're probably going to see the Vraska and 2 copies of Deadbridge Chant, and side out a bunch of this removal that does nothing.
He has so many dead cards. You might even see his Ground Seal come in, because at least that draws a card.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, and yeah, so basically, I mean, it's pretty easy from the sideboard. Sideboard out the dead cards for any card you think could actually do something.
And dead cards, I mean, we're looking at Pillar of Flame, Tragic Slip, arguably Abrupt Decay, even though it can take care of a Detention Sphere. Dreadbore, which like might stay in, might not stay in, because it can take care of Planeswalkers.
Mortars.
Yeah, Mortars, those 2 copies of that are going to go. Putrefy, both copies of that are going to go. Like, there are plenty of cards from the sideboard out here.
Right. Now, to be fair, in Ken's deck, he doesn't even have, like, sometimes these decks side into a creature plan to, you know, counteract that. Ken doesn't have that. He has a 2nd Etherling if he needs one, you know, and that's, I think what you see boarded from him is he has 2 negates in the board. It's really important that he negates a Garruk or a Rakdos Return. He cannot let either of those resolve. We'll see that happen. He has an extra turn burn. I'm not even sure he wants it. I guess it deals really cleanly with Thragtusk, so he probably plays it for that reason.
Clean against Sire of Insanity too.
Yeah, so he can't let, so really there's some cards that Ken really has to try to not let resolve. traditionally Garruk is one of those cards, but actually War Leader's Helix suddenly means Garruk Resolving's, I think, a little more acceptable than it used to be, because you actually have a kill spell that you have some, you know, a point-and-click kill spell that deals with it.
Yeah.
The ones you can't let resolve are Sire and Rakdos Return.
Yeah.
Those will beat you.
Yeah, Helix is a really interesting card just because, as you said, it's point and click that takes care of Garruk Primal Hunter. You know, before this card came in, it was like if you resolve Garruk Primal Hunter against a Hollow Fountain deck, it's like, geez, this is over.
Right.
Like slowly but surely, it's game.
And it does that for Liliana too, actually.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. That's something which, you know, having played a bunch of Revelation decks, I hadn't really thought of that. Now you have another pseudo counterspell for Garruk.
I mean, the Planeswalker killer.
Yeah. Well, they get a 3/3 out of the deal, but I mean, it's not like you can't deal with a 3/3.
Yeah.
Other things in Ken's board. So yeah, he has more sweepers. I don't really think it's that kind of matchup. He has a Jace Memory Adept, and I actually do like that card here. I think it could go either way. Just if he feels like he has, it depends how many dead cards he actually feels like he has. It's not unreasonable to play it, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, his deck has, I feel like, you know, that game one is kind of how things are going to go, but now that Brian's deck is full of all of these insane haymakers after sideboard and very few dead draws, he's actually going to need some closing speed, be it Aetherling, be it Assemble the Legion, or be it Jace Memory Adept. I think that his deck needs some closing speed because, you know, if we're going to play like this game of like, all right, let's trade our cards back and forth, I think we've gotten to the point where Brian's cards are just better in a vacuum than Ken's cards, and so he needs to actually close the game out once he gets ahead.
Right. That's up.
So Brian's going to take a look at his cards here, and because the game is going to go long, as Ken's going to take a mulligan, all Brian wants, Matthias, is just lands. He just wants lands to be able to cast his spells.
All Ken wants, you said? Or
no, all Brian wants. It's just like, I think both players, like, they're going to keep any hand that just has, like, lands and a couple spells in it. Because, like, you just want to hit your land drops.
Well, yeah, I mean, really, each deck only has a couple of spells that matter in their decks. You know, like I said, there's those spells that, you know, Ken can't let resolve. And that's all he really cares about. And, you know, so because that, what Ken really cares about are, like, Revelations and Counter Magic. And things that answer those must-answer spells.
Yeah.
And we see in Brian's hand, he has a Vraska and a Sire, but to like his two danger spells here.
Ken's going to take 2. He's going to go down to 18.
And that's
going to pass the turn.
Clearly an Azorius Charm, I would say.
Yeah. That or think twice. I mean, something that cycles. Wow, none of the above.
Maybe he just wants to represent a Syncopate in case Brian, if he has a Syncopate, he might be worried about a Liliana.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I mean, the 2 life is pretty negligible. I think you can just make plays like that.
So now here's a Farseek. You saw Ken take a look at his negate in his hand and said, I'm not going to do that. Azorius Charm's going to cycle. Ken's going to draw a card. Does he have the 4th land? He does.
Interestingly enough, Brian has the Cavern into Sire of Insanity play available to him. Ken's answer to that is Turnburn. He does not have enough mana to fuse it because of the Farseek. I don't know if he
does have a War Leader's Helix.
Okay, he does have the Helix for it? All right.
So he's in the clear. I was thinking the exact same thing.
It's like, oh man, is this just going to get him? But no, apparently not. And Brian's not going to go for that play. He's going to go for the Syncopate-proof Liliana, it looks like.
And I like that a lot, honestly. Like, I like, if he didn't hit his land drop or something, and here's a negate, so it's going to take care of that. I really do like this a lot.
I like how he's playing around the Syncopate, and it's a pretty good bluff on Ken's part. That untapped land turn 2 by not playing the Azorius Charm right away. If I'm Brian, I really do think Ken has a Syncopate, which it turns out he doesn't.
And so now is he going to pull the trigger?
Well,
so now he's going to go for Sire.
Go ahead for Sire of Insanity, and that's
just like, I'm a War Leader's Helix immediately. I think, like, I don't know. So he drew Liliana for the turn. The question is, what changed? Like, why not just go for the Liliana plant again?
Right. And I'm not sure. I have nothing that I can think of why you wouldn't want to just do that again. Maybe if he feels like an early Liliana demands an answer, but there's a certain turn after which Liliana can not care and just Revelate instead.
Yep.
And maybe he felt like we crossed that pivotal turn where suddenly the Liliana's not a must answer anymore.
So now Liliana's going to tick up. Ken's going to discard a Terminus, and Brian's going to pass the turn back. War Leader's Helix, clean answer to that.
Yeah, and that card really just continues to impress right now. It's a great answer to a lot of the cards that he just has to answer.
And you see Renounce the Guilds in Ken's hand.
He does have Renounce the Guilds. What's surprising to me is that he had to Renounce the Guilds, yet he decided to... Did he have that when the Sire came down? Because I probably... Renounce the Guilds? Never mind, just kidding. Renounce the Guilds pretty good here, right? All right. just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, Mill 10, yeah. Wow, Deadbridge Chant, that's pretty good. This is one of the few situations where you would prefer this to be Stafford in. I think in like 95% of situations, you would want this to be Deadbridge Chant. And you see Ken taking a look, he's just going, all right, what do you got down there?
I'd like to look at your graveyard, look at it and be like, okay,
all right, kill your thing, go. Yeah.
Wow.
Just a brutal beating. As Ken draws a land for the turn and passes the turn back, Brian has a Vraska in his hand that he's been sandbagging for literal ever. I think it's time to cast this. Like, what are we waiting for with the Vraska is the question.
I mean, you have to cast it because you have to be worried. Remember, once revelations happen, the first one gets you back in the game, and I think the second one wins the game at this point. Like, Ken has been so efficient at answering all of Brian's stuff.
And he just drew Revelation for the turn. And now Olivia Valderin off the top, which
Ken doesn't care. He'll just Revelate instead.
Yeah, I think he Revelates for sure. Like, when you're playing these games against this control deck, like, you just cast every spell when you're the Jund player. Like, you're just like, all right, here's another uppercut and another punch in the face until, like, you finally just knock him out. It's like Homer Simpson in the episode he was a boxer. Like, just keep hitting him. Like, you just have to try to punch him out. That's all you can do.
And if he actually has the answer for all your things, well, then, boy, that sucks. So what you try to do is you try to pick one or two answers and, like, maybe pick Syncopate, right? So if you're going to pick Syncopate, play around Syncopate with every spell.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, because what you're hoping to do is to take away his ability to 1-for-1 you. So if you can play around one or two spells, you do it. And then if he has enough to still answer all your things, you say, well, I did what I could. You know, he drew really well.
You know, I just don't see the point. Like, Vraska, the longer the game goes, like, what is Vraska going to realistically kill? You're like, what's he holding it for? He's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to play it. I'm going to destroy your...
I mean, that's the issue. The issue with Vraska is that it's one of those planeswalkers, what I like to say is without a true ultimate, where it's like a control deck can actually just ignore it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, okay, you can take up your Vraska. Yeah, that's fine.
But just like I would walk up to Brian right now to be like, all right, what's your best case with Vraska? Let's say that Vraska says in the middle, destroy target blank. Like, it just, instead of non-land permanent, it just says destroy target, insert the card. What is the card he would insert there?
Card in opponent's hand. That would be what you want to say.
Yeah.
Right, but you can't do that.
Yeah, like what card is he just saving this Vindicate effect for? Like, if it's Assemble the Legion, it's like, okay, sure.
You're trying to run him out of win cons, and you'd be like, have you read Etherling? Like,
yeah, and like
he plays one, you saw it.
Yeah, and like Sphinx's Revelation is just gonna like bury it into the point where like if Brian cares about Vraska, then he would deal with Vraska as like the Bonfire of the Damned are being turned over here from the mill from Jace.
Interestingly enough, he goes for the mill 10. So here's the part where the control player in me says, you should have +1 him.
Yeah,
like
get a card.
Like why are you trying to win so fast? Like, have you not played Control? The idea is you have to fall in love with your chair and just be like, I never want to move from here. I just want to keep playing Magic. Like, you know, you're clear. You're trying to move. You're trying to end this far too quickly. No, but he also has the Assemble in his hand. It looks like. So.
Yeah, he does have the Assemble. And one thing that every time that Brian has had access to Sire with Sanity, it feels like every time he's had access to Sire, Ken has had access to Turn Burn. And again, we come into a situation where he has 5 mana at the ready for Turn Burn Diffuse to kill Sire of Insanity.
Right, so he doesn't now does he have the Dreadbore? Not that it particularly matters. You know, unfortunately we've reached the 10 lands in play for both players in the game, and Ken's at 31.
Yeah.
You know, that's the bad news for Brian here. Is that
and so now he's thumbing for his lands. It looks like he's thumbing for either 5 or 6 of them. I can't tell how many. And now he's going to pull the trigger on Vraska. And again, this is the thing I just don't understand. Like, this Vraska could have just been ticking up and up and up like the entire time so that it could Vindicate 3, 4, some ridiculously high number of times.
I mean, so there's part of you here that says, though, okay, so say he has a Vraska with like 11 counters on it. If you're the control player, like, do you care?
Not especially.
And there's like, yeah, I mean, you can try to Vraska this Etherling if you'd like.
Yeah, and this just demonstrates your point like to a T, because that's what Ken just drew this turn is Aetherling, and it's like, well, you can't Vraska this, and like, I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, go ahead and make some assassins. Let's see if I get hit by one of them, okay? Like,
yeah.
You don't actually care about any of the modes on the card. I guess he can plus the Vraska forever, and now Etherling can't hit him. No, just kidding. Wait, no, it can hit him, put the trigger on, and blink itself.
Yeah, sure.
Because it kills him as a triggered ability. So no, you can still hit him even with Frost. No, wait, it's only when you hit the Vraska too, isn't it?
What's that?
The Vraska only triggers when you hit Vraska.
Yeah, when you attack Vraska. Yeah, it's not when you. Yeah.
Sure.
So you can just ignore Vraska. Yeah. And so now here's Sire of Insanity.
Okay.
Yeah, which probably, that probably just draws the green light.
Yeah, sure. I'll spend a spell on that.
Yeah.
Oh God, why are we tapping out?
Because
Why are we ever tapping out?
I mean, it's Putrefy or bust to kill this thing.
Why would we do that?
No,
why would we do that? Why would we ever tap out?
I agree. Okay, I'm with you.
No, you discard your entire hand first.
Yeah, you just discard your hand and you say, all right, let's battle.
Sure.
Sire versus Aetherling and Vraska, and somehow Aetherling is just better.
I mean, if he decided in the second Aetherling, then I guess I'm behind it.
Yeah.
The problem is like Vraska's actually an answer to the Assemble the Legion, so now you actually have to find that other Aetherling, and if it's not in your deck, you actually just made a really if you didn't board an Aetherling number 2, you made a really big misplay here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Ken has a Sphinx's Revelation in his hand, so we can actually find some more
There's
action.
nothing left to find.
If he doesn't have another Aetherling, I agree with you. There's
Yeah.
like nothing left to find. I mean, he can find an Attention Sphere to take care of the Vraska and then play his Assemble.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's going to find some cards
but
right
I mean,
now.
then you could Abrupt Decay, then like you're actually dead to Abrupt Decay now.
Sure.
There's real chances for Brian, which you as a control player, you don't want to give him any of those.
I mean, then he should have,
Right.
as he draws Supreme Verdict, what basically probably should have happened is he should have just gone, all right, dissipate your Sire of Insanity. You're going to see, renounce the guild, sure.
All right, renounce the Vraska. Still have all these lands.
So here's a bunch of mana, here's Assemble the Legion, and now pass the turn
As
back.
we know, Ken doesn't, but that was the only Vraska in Brian's deck. He's back to having 0 answers to Assemble the Legion.
Yes.
So that this should get there again.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
Yeah, there are a lot of soldiers getting ready to assemble.
And as you said, Ken can get a little more comfortable in his chair. I don't know what kind of chairs you're playing in at tournaments, but I want to be out of the chair at a tournament as soon as possible because they're always uncomfortable.
They are uncomfortable. It's like the mindset when I play controls. I kind of I tell myself that at the beginning of a tournament, being like, if I tell myself for a match, like, I don't want to leave this chair. That's like that's the mindset I always want to go into a tournament when I play control.
Sure.
Like I want to sit here as long as possible every game.
That's why I always play aggressive decks.
Don't win.
That's why I always attack with aggressive decks, is because the chairs are so uncomfortable. I just want to be out of them as soon as possible.
My joke is okay, so I have 10 lands in play and I'm playing a control deck and I have 7 cards in hand and my opponent says go and then I'm end of turn think twice. I'm like, oh god, and then I feel like I probably punted. I probably should have just drawn for the turn. I don't know why I felt the need to cast something there. We should have saved that.
And Brian is going to extend the hand in the face of a Tameo and Assemble the Legion ticking on up, and Ken with a lot of cards in his hand. So Ken, Yeoh, it's going to be
8-1-1.
8-1-1.
That's a spot in the top 8.
That should be a spot in the top 8, right?
Locked.
Okay.
That is locked.
Does he have good breakers too?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Just on record, that is a lock.
You're the math teacher. I really hope you're not wrong.
It's easy. The math's really easy here. That's just, yeah.
All right. I believe